So, hi and welcome everyone to another workshop session. Thank you so much for just bearing with us there while we got set up. Hope you like some of the little background music that we added there. It's a new feature that one of the tools that we use has. So I think I even surprised Ben with that. But just wanted to just let everyone know that we're still planning to come, but just took a minute or two there. But Ben, how are you tonight, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Very good. It's been a very busy and productive few days, but just hype me up even more for tonight and what we're doing, Liam, mate. It's truly excited at the minute, mate. Buzzing.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. It's what it's all about. And and thanks so much to everyone for tuning in tonight. I know we're on a Monday night instead of a regular Thursday, and I'm sure you are because you've probably seen the title of the video, or if you're one of the BeOne members, this week's topic is all about self-belief, or just having a bit more self-awareness and having a bit more consciousness about that self-image, which we're going to go into in a bit more depth as we take you through tonight's workshop. Just to remind you though, so we are live on YouTube. And if you're watching the replay, then why not give us a like and hashtag replay club. Yes. But equally, if you are interested in more content like this, whether it's the live stream or some of our pre-recorded videos, then make sure you subscribe to hear more. And and don't forget to drop comments in should you have any questions throughout, and we'll get to them as we go through. So Ben, I suppose kicking off with the topic today, did you want to take us through a little bit about what this means to you and why it's such an important thing for us?
Yeah, definitely. And I think first thing is I'm excited about tonight, guys. It's the first time me and Liam are using StreamYard on YouTube, and it's the next kind of step in terms of where BeOne Mindset is going. And we've also got the BeOne Mindset tune-up show that's coming this week that we're really excited for. And I'm mentioning these things, guys, because I put a post out earlier today on my Instagram, being very open and honest about my own self-image from my past. And self-image and self-belief tie in very, very closely together. And my self-image and the belief in myself from a young age was rock bottom, especially when I hit my teens. And for a long period of my time, I was in a dark place and struggled to see any belief in myself. And my personal self-image, the way I saw myself, was pretty horrendous. And I'm extremely proud now of who I am and how I see myself. And I want to kind of really shine the light in terms of how that can start to transition your life, because a lot of people struggle to make that change because they think they're kind of like, they don't feel they deserve to look at themselves in a good way or in a positive way. And that is something that I try to help people with, which is to really help them understand what their identity is. And within identity, you start to break down the self-image. And in my opinion, from the work I've done, and you start to break down how you see yourself. What is your self-image? How would you describe yourself? And there's kind of like two things that I'm going to lean into tonight about this, which is it's very easy to say, right, okay, on a surface level, how do you see yourself? And a lot of people sometimes just will straight away struggle to answer that question. And if you ask it to them, they can get a bit defensive sometimes because again, it feels a bit of an attack. Like, and other times they go quite blank, just because it's like, well, how do I see myself? And they struggle to understand how to answer that question. So this is something that I really recommend. If you aren't doing the BeOne course, this is a module. This is a big module within it, but we still want to help and give people advice. So I'd like you to, again, make notes tonight. And even if you're not doing the course, this will still be impactful. And as I always say as well, guys, and a lot of the stuff that we recommend, you can work this with your kids, with your partner, with your friends, because this is just things that will help in life. But just to sit down with a pen and a pad and just literally to write down how you see yourself, what your self-image is, and be as honest as you can. As we move through the chat tonight, I'm going to help a little bit in terms of how to do that, because I appreciate it can be quite a block a lot of people get confused with the question. Even though it may seem quite simple in what it says, a lot of people still struggle to sit down and write, like, how do I see myself? And then you might have some people who see themselves very negatively, and every single answer that they're putting down is very negative. And then other people are writing things down that are just all positive. And there's nothing wrong with either of those. But where I try to gauge it is, again, taking empowerment in life. Thinking about, and again, this is breaking other modules of the course down, but understanding your values and your goals and your aspirations and who you want to be as a person. And when you understand that, then go back to your self-image and see if it aligns. Because if it doesn't align, that's when you can start to make changes and actually design the way you want to see yourself. And as weird as that may sound, that's exactly what I've done to create the change that I've created in my life. And that's why I've had fear when I put that post on today. And again, I'm very honest about that. People see me post a lot on Instagram, and I just needed to say, like, you can sometimes think someone's very confident, but they still feel the same fears and the same insecurities. I still work on these things on a daily basis. The difference is I don't hide from them and run away from them anymore. I try to stand tall and stand up to them, because that gives me more confidence, more self-belief, and that enables me to push forward in life and towards the things that I want. But it did take a lot of work, guys. This isn't an easy process. And again, when I work with people quite closely with this, a lot of emotions come out. But again, this is game changing. This truly, truly is game changing. If you firstly are aware of it and understand it, and then understand how to transition it to start to create a new way forward. But to gain an understanding of the way forward, you've got to gain clarity on what you want out of life. And that's a big thing. A lot of people don't know what they want out of life. And that's BeOne is all about. That's becoming one with yourself and understanding, right, this is important to me. This is what I want to move forward to. For some people, it might be material things. For others, it might be a sense of peace. For others, it might be health and fitness, financial, whatever it is. It's down to yourself to choose. But once you've chosen it and truly believe it's what you want, then it's about creating the person that achieves it. And that's where, again, the self-image comes into place. So again, Liam touched on it at the start, self-belief. But self-belief comes from how you see yourself. If you see yourself in a poor light, the belief is whittled down with that. So you'll have a lack of belief in yourself to go and achieve, or to even go in and live, to step outside the door, which a lot of people struggle to do. And the last thing I'll say before I bring Liam back into the conversation is, a lot of people hide behind a mask. And this was myself included. So because I had such a poor image of myself, when I stepped outside into public, because I hated the way I looked, I used to hide my face. When I went out in public, I'd have a neck warmer that would be up above my nose, and I'd have my hood up, and literally anywhere in public, that's how I went. And this is true. And then the way I spoke to myself in my head was just so limiting that it kept me in a negative state. And this was unbreakable until I started to work on self-development, which is why the sole focus of BeOne is to help people understand not just mindset, but self-development in the same sense. But the belief you have in yourself is so key. And it's what stops so many people in their tracks. Liam, have you got anything you want to jump in with, mate, at any point? Please come through. Byron, good to see you, mate. Thank you for joining in tonight.
Yeah, no, I think it's powerful what you said there, and for me, it's something that I relate to. I think interesting that twist that you had there about, you know, the different masks, and like for you, it was like literally a physical mask that you put up, and I think that being online is an interesting one as well, isn't it? About how some people find it quite freeing in respect to they're able to act this persona, you know. Some of the, you know, a negative kind of element of that is some of the trolls. They get to come out and they get to say what they want without any fear or reservation of what they're truly thinking, perhaps. But I think that Ollie is a great example of somebody. So if people aren't sure who Ollie the Chock, you might know him better as. But Ollie is a really powerful thinker, a magician with what he creates in chocolate. But I've noticed that that Ollie has that persona that he had online, but he's slowly filtering in more and more of who he is and becoming more and more comfortable. And I think that perhaps having that online presence has helped him with that. But I think that today's topic is certainly something that's helped me out hugely. Is I've gone from that level of knowing what I'm passionate about and what I believe in, but especially at school, I know I had different interests to some of my friends, and so I'd go and be part of my friendship group, but not really want to talk about some of the things that I want to talk about, and feel a bit trapped because I didn't really have that kind of outlet. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get into some more tips and advice on how we can break free of that. But yeah, it's certainly something that's helped me is kind of having that inner identity of myself, and to build up into that kind of self-belief to get into where it is that I've certainly come today.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, kind of like you brought the word identity in there, and that is the identity encapsulates self-image, among a couple of other things. But again, this is all it's really interesting that these words, identity, self-image, a lot of people kind of would understand but aren't aware of how they would define it in their own terms about themselves. And that's kind of like the point I want to really drive home tonight out with this chat, because I think that if people can just take this one task away to sit down and write out how they see themselves, they start to understand, like, wow, man, like I didn't realize I saw myself like this. And I'm going to give a few tips near the end to help you in terms of what to do with that. But the first thing I would recommend is just writing that down, just to see how, and again, your inner dialogue is describing that to you. Okay. Like when you come to a certain circumstance, whether it's meeting a person, going into a social situation, whether it's going into a job interview, or whether it's going into any aspect where you have to step up and be yourself, what is that version of yourself? And that's my point. For a lot of people, they aren't the person they want to be in that scenario. And again, it's due to lack of belief in the fact that they can be that person. But it's really interesting as well that you brought up about the social side of it. And it's kind of really interesting that a guy that's becoming a good friend of mine, Jay Childs, and we were having this conversation, and he was talking about the negativity on social, but also the positivity on social. And I think that I've got to be very honest that social gave me, especially Instagram, in fact, the Instagram as a soul, gave me the opportunity to live my new identity proudly and have support at the same time. So in a world where I was judged and looked down upon, and was involved in bullying and in all these other things, and just struggled a lot, and then started to completely change who I was and become a new person, and start to achieve so much in life, and then wanted to share that, actually, by presenting my new identity, which wasn't a fake Ben. I've talked about this before. It is the real Ben. It's just a different one than I used to be. And that's my new identity. And actually, people start to resonate with me, support me, and it starts to grow who I am now. And I think that is the power of social, in terms of actually standing up and saying, no, this is who I am, and being able to share that, because that builds your belief. Me being able to talk and show pictures and put comments and post about who I am and how I see myself and what I do, start to shine a light. And I start to believe in it and think, man, I'm living true to who I am now. If I'm talking about emotions, if I'm getting emotional, or if I'm talking about my past, but how much I've changed, or if I'm talking about what I've achieved, like I'm actually reaffirming to myself how much I've changed and who I now am. And that's a big thing. Reaffirming it. This drops into some of the other bits in the course, Liam, like affirmations. Like I'm actually affirming to myself by doing a post that, fucking hell, Ben, yes, you are this person. Yes, you have done this. Yes, Ben, you have achieved these goals. Yes, Ben, you have hit this negative state, but you are now out of it because you took action. Yes, Ben, you are now in control of your emotions. And what that means is, yes, you still feel anger. You still feel sadness. You still feel fear, but you're aware of what these emotions are. And you now have ways to deal with them. You now have coping strategies. So that where you were stuck in negative situations for months and months in the past, now you can transition out of them very quickly. And again, this is all down to awareness of yourself, of self. And it's a lot of people, and again, I'm going to be honest, brutally honest as I always am, they are scared to look at themselves. They're scared to look deep at themselves and say, who am I? Who is Ben Eastwood? What is Ben Eastwood's self-image? And that's why I needed to be as honest as I could in that post today, because I needed people to really understand how poorly I used to look at myself. And no wonder at that time in my life, I didn't have any achievements. I had no direction. I was getting in so much trouble. I was on so many drugs. I was in such a bad place. But that didn't stem from all of those things. Those things stemmed from myself feeling and seeing myself the way I did. And that actually came from my teen years. Before my teen years, I was actually quite a happy kid, man. But then as I started to transition and I started to become uncomfortable with who I was, the way I looked, the way I felt, and this unconfidence created everything negative that started to happen. And then that just spiraled. So my aim now is to make this more aware. As I've always said to yourself, Liam, and I think me and Ollie have touched upon this in the Going in Deep podcast, but this shit isn't taught in school. You aren't taught in school about your self-image or about emotions or about your identity. So as a kid who was struggling, man, like I had no understanding of how to help myself. So my outlet was anger, violence, crime, drugs. This was my outlet of the emotions that I couldn't deal with. And again, it's why I'm so passionate now about showing this out there. And I think that I do stand behind this fact as well. You probably got me in a bit of a ramble night tonight. Apologies, guys. It's Liam's job to stop me if I ramble too much, but I stand behind the fact there's a lot of people that go out on a weekend and feel fucking shit scared to go out until they've had a beer or got alcohol down them, and then they start to feel comfortable and confident and they have a good night, or then it gets too leery. But up until the point they get out and start to drink alcohol, they're scared because they're so afraid of their self-image, the way they look, the way they feel. And I've been there myself as well. And again, it's trying to help people find that inner sense of pride of who they are. So when you walk into somewhere, it doesn't matter what people think of you. You're just happy with who you are, what you look like, and that's all that matters, man. And that energy vibes off you, and you do start to surround yourself with the right people, and that does help as well, being around the right people. And I think that's something that I'll finish off this little ramble with, which is since I've been around the right people that aren't judgmental, that do support you, my life has completely changed. And that's a phenomenal thing. And I think we've had two beautiful comments there. One off Mike, who's put completely understand what you're saying. I think true honesty with one's self-image is the first step. And I couldn't agree more with that, Mike, mate. And that was the biggest I had to do that to make changes in myself. And Jay, my man, he's just put never be afraid of changing your circle. And again, me and Jay had a deep chat at the gym the other day. And I reiterated to himself and he reiterated to me. And Jay's on it's going to be a big year for Jay this year. He's doing some amazing things for himself, his family, and other people as well. And sometimes you have to make those steps and get around the right people. You've got to get around the right people.
Jay did say he wrote a message, but he said it was too long to come in there.
Yeah, send me that message, mate, and I'll post it up and with regards to this, because I appreciate your input. I truly do, because this is big. This is big, man.
I think it's interesting, like going back to what you said, Ben, about like kind of at school we're not taught this kind of thing, and how almost like that's where you start getting into friendship groups. You start kind of, you know, mirroring what other people are saying, getting one up on kind of trying to still be part of the group. And there is that big pressure, isn't there? And I think that's something important and something that we're going to allude to when we go through some of the slides today. What we've done today, just for people who are not aware, so we have got the BeOne core course. So this is part of the core course that we have produced and available for people to go and enjoy. And And through that core course, we've got a range of tasks that helps you actually take through step by step some of the things that we're talking about. So we're just picking out some of the core elements here, and I'm going to share that on screen now, and we'll start talking about some of the really important slides that Ben wanted to discuss today. So Ben, did you want to take us through this particular one?
Yeah, so again, me and Liam have tried to be really strategic in how we do this, guys, because we appreciate there's people that have paid for this course, and we don't want to take away from them what they paid for. But at the same time, the big value of mine is trying to help as many people as I can. So me and Liam have picked some slides that we feel can raise awareness enough for you to make an impact on your life or other people's. And this kind of just encapsulates what this talk tonight is about. And again, identity is a leading word because, again, like I said before, self-image for me falls under your identity. But your identity is extremely powerful, as it's what you are presenting, not just to the world, but more importantly to yourself. And what I want to state there is every action you take, you are reaffirming who you are. Okay. So everything that you do, you are basically telling yourself you are that person. Okay. And that's why understanding the things that you do day to day and just asking yourself, are they in line with my goals? Are they in line with the person that I want to be? Are they in line with my values? And if they're not, you're actually telling yourself you're not the person that you want to be. And this is where you get this disalignment and start to feel really uneasy with yourself. And I lived for so many years with this just uneasy feeling within myself because I knew I wanted to be a different person, but I couldn't be. And I was doing all these actions and doing all these things that just didn't align with who I needed to be. So I think like the person you present to the world is when you step outside that door and you go to work and you're around the lads, or you go out with the girls and you're around the girls. If you're a girl, that's that scenario. Well, when you go around whoever it is, are you a different person than how you feel on the inside? Or are you a different person than the person you know you want to be? These are powerful questions. They're that powerful that, again, a lot of people will shy away from them. And even hearing this tonight, people will still shy away from them because it's hard to look at this and write it down. But this is life transforming. And I think that the key there is, more importantly, yourself. Like understanding to yourself what your identity and your self-image is right now. Okay. In the last stage of the course, we show you how to create a new identity for you, for your goals. But right now, just to make an impact, just write down what you feel your identity and your self-image is. And I can guarantee that will hopefully make a big enough shift for you to start making some impactful changes.
Yeah, powerful stuff that. And I think just important just to kind of it is important to kind of think about that. But I know something that you and Ollie talked about is like having that emotional intelligence. In some situations, you might not be able to show quite the full bubbly self. You know, you might have a day job where you've got to do what it is you've got to do, but like equally just knowing that you should be your true self as much as possible.
Yeah, Ollie, great point, man. I'm glad you brought that up. So Ollie actually calls it being a chameleon. And he's talking about kind of fitting in different areas. And but behind the root of that, if you listen to that podcast that me and Ollie did, behind the root of that is your beliefs, your values are always the same. So the root cause of who you are never changes. But you might be in different scenarios and you might act slightly differently for the right reasons. But at the core, your beliefs, your values are the same. So they don't change. And that's what's most important because then you feel in alignment with yourself. Does that make sense? It's like it's emotional intelligence is like you say, yeah, I'm in the gym, I'm with my mates, I'm with my mum and dad now, I'm going for a job interview, whatever it may be, you might have a slightly different attitude in those situations, but at the root of the core, you are still the person that you want to be. Does that make sense there? Whereas a lot of people, again, are completely, that's where they can completely be different. But this is where it all boils down to. It's finding that understanding. That's how powerful this exercise is. It's like understanding that root person, the root Ben, the root Liam, and just asking that question: are you happy with yourself? And if the answer is no, there's something not right with your self-image. If the answer to that question is no, there's something you need to look at and hopefully work on. But you've got to be prepared then to put in the work to make that a yes. Like, it's sad to think that the answer would be no. Are you happy with yourself, with who you are, with your self-image? No. And that's something surely you'd want to improve on. Do you know what I mean?
And I think that can be a difficult realization, can't it? I think if you are in that place, I know certainly when I'm sure you, Ben, when you kind of figured that out, it can be tough, but it's having that bravery and that honesty with yourself and not just going through the motions and just accepting it and realizing that change is possible, isn't it?
It's scary, mate. It's scary, especially when you've not been that person. So for 10 years that I was taking drugs and getting expelled from school and getting sacked from jobs and hanging around with people that were causing crime and going to raves and just all of that scenario, to then have to break from that is a scary prospect because you don't know what's on the other side. And unfortunately for me, on the other side of that part of my life, it didn't get much better. When I had the bravery or the circumstance, should I say, that I won't go into tonight, but that cut me away from that, I was then left very alone. So I had a very low self-image, very low self-esteem. I still hadn't found myself. I was just on the next part of my life. And again, that if I knew about everything that we're trying to coach people on now at that stage, my life would have transformed very, very quickly at that point. But I had to go through another 5, 6, 7, 8 years before I even started to discover what self-image truly was. So it's amazing that, like you say, it's the fear of the unknown sometimes as well, and that's what keeps you trapped back. So for me, it was always like, I need to go back to where I was because that was the known to me. So I tried to get away from the people and the situations, but it was a scary world away from that because I didn't know who I was, where I was going, and I was lost. It becomes an unknown, and that's an even more scary process. So again, it's finding the root cause of who you are. And then when you find that, it does give you some light. It gives you a light at the end of the tunnel that you can start working towards. And then you can start pulling pieces together of actions and thoughts and processes that help you create the shell, which is your identity. And that encapsulates everything we're kind of talking about tonight.
Turning that unknown into a direction that you can start taking the path on, and something that I've again that Ben's mentioned in the Going in Deep podcast is turning that energy from fear into excitement, isn't it? And finding something to get excited about. I suppose it kind of leads nicely onto our next slide, and that being some more kind of things about, you know, the lack of self-belief or the lack of belief, the low esteem and the low self-image can really, really affect what it is that we believe about ourselves. And you know, and what we're actually capable of achieving in life. And I think, you know, I think it's such an important thing that we recognize what it is that we're trying to do, that path that we're trying to set out for ourselves, and trying to take steps on towards that.
So Mike's just dropped, Byron, mate, you've dropped something in there, mate, and I can't remember at which point you dropped that in. Byron's put mine was a while ago, mate, and I think he was talking, me and Byron had a chat, and I've only just recently met Byron in person, and he was talking about his split in terms of away from certain situations to become a better version of himself. I think that's what he means by that. But Byron, please elaborate if it isn't. But Byron made a massive jump in terms of stepping away from situations and has completely transformed his life. And that was a phenomenal thing. I resonate a lot with Byron in his journey. But Mike's put a really interesting comment, and in things happen for a reason, Mike. And I think that comment's landed at this perfect time in terms of what Liam's kind of just brought up on the screen, because Mike's put, what if you want to be, I think he's basically saying, what if what you want is unrealistic? You think it is unrealistic, i.e. super fit and healthy. Like, is that what he wants? Or should he be working on just being happy as I am? And my answer to that question, Mike, which is quite interesting, because I don't know if you know a lot about me, Mike, but my transition into mindset and self-development came through my own journey. Before that, I was a personal trainer. So as a personal trainer, working with people to help them change their life, whether it be through losing weight or getting fitter and healthier or achieving things within sports and fitness, whatever it may be. I was working on self-development mindset for myself to transform my life. And then what I started to realize was, fuck me, man, like this stuff would transform anyone's life. So I started to bring it into my clients, and my clients started to make unbelievable results, like life transforming results. I've got clients that are now very good friends, best friends, because of the impact the self-development and mindset work had in transforming their life. And it fits in what you put there, Mike. And I think that none of it is unrealistic. It's how it's your perspective on it. And if you can start to enjoy the process, which is the most important thing, most people resent the process to get to a goal. But if the process to get to the goal has to be maintained when you get the goal, man, you're going to resent it when you get there if you're resenting it on the way. Does that make sense? Like, most things you have to do to achieve a goal have to be maintained when you get there. So if you're resenting them along the way and you hate life because of everything, you're fucking having to do this and I'm having to do that, I'm having to sacrifice this, I'm having to sacrifice that, and disciplined at this and disciplined at that, man, it doesn't get any easier when you get to your goal. But the difference is when you achieve your goal, you're that proud of what you've done. You start to realize, man, I've become a different person. My habits are now not musts, they are wants. I actually want to be this person. I want to do these things. It's that transition of person. So it's understanding the process that needs to happen and then saying, right, this is what I want to do. It's embodying it. And that, again, but it comes from, and I need to make this point, Mike, because it's important. That's your self-image. If you are sat there now thinking, I don't see myself as the person that could get to that, that's your lack of belief. That's your poor self-image of yourself. And this is my point. If we can transition that, which the BeOne course works through, once you know your goal, Mike, which might be to become fitter, in better shape, okay, but I also want to be happy, start to create the identity of that person and start to live that. And you become proud of yourself. You become happy along the process, and you will get to your goal that way. And not only will you get to the goal, but yeah, you exactly that pinged up on screen as I was going to say the exact words. You enjoy the journey. Like, this is why I started to help my clients understand. Don't come to train with me and live your life hateful. Enjoy it. If you don't enjoy something, don't do it. But if you truly want to change, you've got to have that switch in your mind that says, man, I need to start embodying this process and enjoying it and living it and loving it. And as soon as you take that attitude, results just naturally come, because you build belief in yourself and you reduce stress of hate of the fucking process. This is how powerful it is. But again, it's most people fail because, and when I say fail, I mean completely fail, stop short, fall back, because they're after results over the understanding the journey is actually going to become who they are as a person. Does that make sense? And that is what's so different about the BeOne course and the BeOne philosophy. The BeOne philosophy isn't go and get a goal. You should be having goals. You should have ambitions. It's about become the person you want to be. And if you become that person, you will achieve any fucking goal that you want, because you're living the person that you want to be. You become happy with yourself and be prepared to make sacrifices and be disciplined and all of these things, but in the areas that you want, because you are truly want your goals. And believe me, it comes quicker than you could ever believe possible. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, the amount I've achieved over the last 3 to 4 years is unbelievable compared to the 32 years previous. I achieved hardly anything. But the difference was I transitioned who I was as a person, how I saw myself, how I thought, my thought processes, my feelings, the people I surrounded myself with. And suddenly I started to achieve shit. I started to feel happy. Like it's no coincidence. It was just the fact that I transitioned my thought process into positivity towards everything in life and who I was. And that comment off Mike reiterates exactly what we're talking about here. If you have a goal, do you see yourself as a person that can achieve that? Truly, right now, honestly, do you truly right now see yourself as a person that can achieve that goal? And if the answer is no, and you've got a real sunken feeling in your gut, that's stopping you from going and getting it. So then it's about breaking that down to help you achieve the goal. And that you can achieve anything you want in life. You truly can. But this work is important. But as I stand behind, a lot of people are scared to do this type of work because, as Liam says, it takes courage. It takes courage to sit down and look at yourself. And people would rather go and get pissed, would rather go and take drugs, would rather go on a shopping spree, would rather sit and watch TV and binge watch Netflix than sit down and really look at themselves on a deep enough level to make a massive impact on their life for a positive change. And that's why I always say you need to step outside that comfort zone if you want to go and achieve what you want in life. And that could be contentment. For me, it was contentment. Everything that I've achieved material or business wise came from me becoming content with who I was as a person. And that's why this is so integral. This why this module is probably one of the strongest for me. This is the chance to change you as a person. When you change you as a person and are happy with how you see yourself, the world becomes what you want it to be. I told you I've got it tonight.
You put 50p in the back of Ben, and he's gone away. We've wound him up too much. I've just put in the chat, like, interested. Like, we're not going to show it on the screen, but if you feel comfortable enough, like, let us know, yes or no. Do you think you can achieve your goal at the moment, and have you got that inner self-belief, or is it something that you struggle with? Just interested, if you're feeling brave enough to share that would be just good for us to see. But something
Liam,
that
this is a technical question, and I think you have answered this. The comments that we see, can everyone else see those? No.
Yeah. So it's on YouTube, so it is a public.
Cool. Amazing. Cool.
So everyone will be able to see, unless. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure, unless you haven't signed in. So to leave a comment, you will need to sign in onto YouTube to have an account of some capacity. But I think, like, if it is that you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, it sounds good. Another example I've got is I've listened to countless, like, kind of success podcasts and books and stuff, and quite often people will talk about one particular I listen to is Diary of the CEO by Stephen Bartlett, which is really powerful, interviewing a range of different people about how they achieve success, and they talk about some of the people that they know who are successful, but they're miserable because they're chasing after success and not what it is they're passionate about. And I think that's a fine line. Is like, it's good to have aspirations into going to what we want to do, but don't fear kind of your end goal changing. And if you're on your journey and you're just staying on the road to make £1 million, when actually £100,000 would be, a number where you could enjoy your life a bit more, maybe that's just something to consider. Is that, it's about you seeing yourself in the best life and you living your best life, and not necessarily just chasing vanity metrics or anything like that.
It's beautiful that you said that, because I had a chat with I've been having a chat with Kev from Brevolution over the last couple of days. We've obviously did elements, and we share a value that me and you share, Liam, as well, which is, man, we're just out there to help people, and we're not. I'm by no means out there to be the wealthiest person in the world. We just want to have enough to live comfortably and help people, and it's as simple as that. And I think that a lot of people set financial targets, which I'm a big believer in, because finances are quite a stress for a lot of people, and I've been there. And it wasn't about becoming rich for me; it was about becoming financially secure for my kid, for my family. And that was a goal. It wasn't to become rich, it was to become financially secure. And then that started to take a lot of stress away. But that, again, that came with all of the other goals that set in place at the same time. And my self-development, I think if anyone's seen my priorities video on YouTube, self-development and mindset are two of my main priorities I work on a weekly basis. So my goals in life had self-development and mindset at the top, because they were the most important things to everything else that I achieved. And I just felt that what you said, that really resonated, Liam. And I think that it's why, guys, again, there's a free task, and this isn't an upsell because it's fucking free, but there's a free task on the BeOne website, and it's a perspective task. And it asks you to literally look at certain areas of your life and label them, give them a rating from 5 years ago, give them a rating today, and then look at them and see what the difference is. Have you progressed in those areas? Have you regressed in those areas? Can you give a reason why to whether you progressed or regressed? And then can you set yourself a rating for 5 years in the future? And we're talking mental health, physical health, finances, career, family, relationships. We're talking all of the areas that are applicable to everyone's life. And if you do the exercise, guys, it starts to help you create a vision. And for me, a vision is the big picture of all your goals together. And then they start to align. And then when you work on your values, this is what I'm talking about. This is the complete transition of who you want to be. And then you start to understand what is serving you in the right way and what isn't serving you. And then it's down to you to make the decision to either cut things out to be the person you need to be, or understand, I don't want to cut this stuff out, so I'm going to stay the person I am. And there's no right or wrong answer. I can't give someone that answer. Liam can. It's got to come from that person. As I always say, there are a lot of people that enjoy a lifestyle that I needed to get away from. And I don't resent that. I'm not judging them. I hope they're happy with who they are and what they do. I truly do, from the bottom of my heart. But for me, I needed to transition. And that's why, as a coach, I never tell anyone how they should be or who they should be. That is not my job. I give them the tools to understand how they can create the life they want. And then it's down to them to put it into place. But there's a couple of comments that I just want to touch back on. And guys, we can't thank enough for people, not only for joining in tonight, but for commenting and engaging, and even engaging with each other in the comments. Like, I'm really, and I'm sure Liam will say, it's a beautiful thing to see you actually communicate with each other in the comments, because again, the community we create with BeOne, which was about a non-judgmental space, a place where you can communicate, a kind of social channel where there's no judgment, and it's just somewhere people can support each other. So it's just good to see that in the comments, man. It truly is. So thank you for every person that just commented from the bottom of our hearts, man. And just to go back on one of them, or a few of them, sorry to do this, mate. Mike put, doubting myself has never worked before, so it's time for a change. Man, me and Ollie have said something in a podcast before, Mike, that's really powerful, which was, if there's something you could try, and the worst that could happen is it doesn't work. That's the worst that can happen. What the fuck is what's wrong with trying? What's wrong with going for it? So many people are fearful of trying something, and the worst that can happen is you stay in the same place. You stay in the same place. But if it did work, you'd be so much further ahead, or so much happier, or so much more content, or fulfilled, or closer to your goal. That's your best case scenario. Worst case, you're exactly the same. So try it, go for it, but go for it with determination. Go for it with genuineness, with everything you've got. Don't go in half-hearted. And believe me, where you can get to would be a phenomenal place. And I think that, Jay, I love it. Everything's resonating tonight. It's like the universe is working for us. Because then Jay's come in with a comment after saying, for years I was that guy. And now, honestly, I feel I could take on anything and any goal I set myself. My mind is that strong. I'm now hitting it. And he is. He's attacking life this year. In so many ways, it's untrue. And that is the power of it right there. But what my point being, why that comment is so powerful after Mike's, is if you see Jamie's attitude there, if you read that, that's an affirmation. Jay, I'd love you to write that down in your notes in your phone, or print that out and stick it somewhere in your house and read that to yourself every single day. Yeah. Like, that's powerful. That's an affirmation that you're telling yourself every single day. Even on a down day where you doubt yourself, reread that comment. Because you will have days where you doubt yourself and you feel negative. Because even I still have those days. Liam has those days. Evan has those days. On those days, read that comment you put there, because it will remind yourself who you are. Because that's who you are right there. What you've just written there is who you are, mate. And then Jack Wall, phenomenal guy. This year has been a massive, massive year for him in terms of stepping outside his comfort zone. He went through some struggles last year, and he's really focused and zoned in on his self-development, on his life, on finding the things he wants to work towards. And this year, his start to this year has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been inspirational. It inspires me. The work he's put in has been absolutely outstanding. He's a superb person, and I'm proud of that man, guys. And he has been working on his self-development unbelievably, and his mindset's changed. And yeah, just beautiful to put that comment, Jack, mate, and proud of you. And then I'm going to put one last one in, and then I'll chill for a little bit, because this is important, guys. And I'm glad he's actually said this. Byron's put, it's going to be hard work, but yes. Byron, if you're still listening, I hope I'm using this in the right context, but if I'm not, please do say. But Byron's right. It's not easy, man. Because as I was stating to Jay then, you are going to have down days. You are still going to have days where you doubt yourself. You are still going to have days when you wake up in the morning and potentially feel a bit down or feel a bit low. You are still going to have people that doubt you. You are still going to have people that try and trip you up. Life is still going to throw curveballs at you. It is going to be hard work. But if you continue to focus in and execute, you will achieve the outcome. And I went a little bit military when I said that, but I didn't mean to. But it's true. If you stay so true and focused to who you want to be on a daily basis, you will get where you want to be. And again, that is why I shine so much of my story, because I'm living proof of the self-development and the mindset work. And I'm still improving. I'm not done. I've still got a lot of work to do on myself. And that's why it is hard, because I'm still doing it daily. It's not something I've thought, right, I've got past my past now, I'm going to leave it. Man, I've got to keep working on it, because I want to stay as positive and ambitious and as content and as fulfilled and as happy as I am now. And that's a powerful thing.
I think, yeah, I mean, brilliant to see those comments and highlighting those. And I think that, yeah, it's not always going to be easy, is it? And I think that one thing kind of we touch upon is that some days our brains are just gonna, like, there's just going to be something to trigger us that will throw us off our step, or to kind of almost talk ourselves out of continuing that growth, continuing with taking the next steps on where it is that we want to go. And you've picked out another slide, Ben, which I'll put on the screen now. And this is this is something that I think that everyone can kind of relate to, that self-image isn't just about how we see ourselves in one scenario. It's that encompassing thing. But equally, each one of these things could potentially have an effect on that. Would that be fair to say, Ben?
Yeah. And I think that there's two ways to look at this, but I want to take the positive right now, because I want to leave people with something to really work on. So there's two ways I could talk about this slide, guys, but I want to focus on the positive, because I want everyone that's listening to be able to go away with something now. We've talked about sitting down and really going deep and understanding how you see yourself. Okay. And that's something I would ask every single person that listens to this to do. If you have any compassion for yourself and any self-love and any want to be more positive and be more ambitious, or just live life happier, sit down and just write down how you see yourself right now, and be as honest and raw as you can. No one else is seeing it. No one else is seeing what you're putting in that pad but you. And just be honest with yourself. And once you've done that task, guys, then I want you to do this. The slide that's on there, again, there's two spins. This is the one that I want you to take, because I want to leave you with a positive. And then want you to think about the last, all of it, but we're going to start off with the last one on the slide, which says your strengths. I want you to write down your fucking strengths in life. Yeah, which every single person has, man. You have some strength in some area. You have shown some strength in some way, in some shape or some form in your life. You have shown a strength. I want you to write down what that is, in what area it was, what strength you still possess, what qualities you have, what achievements you've had for your life. Doesn't matter how small, if it's an achievement to you, it's an achievement. Your triumphs. Think about your hobbies, because you will be good at them. You will have skills in your hobbies. Doesn't matter what hobby it is, you will have a skill in it. Yeah. Think about your family, your loved ones, the people that love you. Think about your job, what you bring to your job. I hope it's a job that you find fulfillment in, but you're showing some form of attribute towards it, some positive trait. And I want you to write down, I want you to make this list positive. I want you to look at all of those. And if you're in the course, guys, go, if you're in the BeOne course, you've got the BeOne course, go through the full self-image, because this will make a lot more sense. But if you're not, I want to leave you with this because it's powerful. Just go off positives for that. And look back at that list and realize, man, this is also how I see myself. Look at these strengths. Look at the things I've overcome. Look at the achievements I've actually done in life. It might be achievement from when you were a teenager or a kid or in your 20s, whatever area, your triumphs in life. How are you as a family person? Like your hobbies, what are you good at? Like, why are you good at that? And you start to actually see yourself in a more positive light. And then you can start to transition, because you start to think, man, I actually have got some qualities. And that is the switch. That's the light bulb for you to think, shit, okay, I can think positively about myself. I do and can have a good self-image. So then you just need to transition that towards your identity, towards the person that achieves your goal, whether it's a material goal or an internal goal. Then you start to transition your self-image towards that. And I hope that it's tough to not give too much away from the course on that without feeling I'm leaving people in the dark. Liam, did that make sense, or do you think I need to say more on that? I feel like I don't want to.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't make sense, let us know in the comments, is what I'd say. But
that's why Liam's a man.
Yeah, it did. It made absolute sense to me, and I think that it doesn't matter how small something is either. One thing that I'm quite guilty of is sometimes if somebody says, "What are your strengths?" I'll be like, "Oh, I have no idea." But like when I talk to Ben, he's talking to me as if I'm a tech wizard, and I don't necessarily see myself in that light. Maybe because I'm too humble, maybe it's because I'm looking to where I want to go. But just look, even if it's a little thing, even if it gives you some slight bit of pride, or you've learned a skill, even if you're not the best at that skill, you've probably still got something over somebody else, or over where you started. So I'd say that when you're doing that task, and I really like tonight's task in that being like, take that time to write this down as well. Something that we always talk about is that it's easy to sit here and to get hyped up and to get the motivation, but actually doing the task is something that a lot of people won't do, if we're quite honest. And that's the difference we want you to make in your life, is that you just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes for yourself, however long it takes, and get the task done, and just make sure that you got something in there, no matter how small it is. And you can start building on that small thing to make it such a positive influence that, as you say, it can be interchangeable between these different areas, for you to go after what it is that you want to do.
I think that's really powerful, Liam, and makes me proud sometimes when you speak, and to know that I'm in partnership with you in this, because I think that was really powerful what you said there, mate. And I kind of just want to finish off with an actual example from my own life, guys. And this is quite recent, and it doesn't exactly fit with. It doesn't, but I think it stemmed off what Liam said there. and it can help. And the example I'm going to give is actually about weaknesses, but you can use it for strengths, and that's why I want to highlight it. In a book I'm reading at the minute, and I was reading it in bed, and my wife was just going to sleep next to me, and it was talking about your weaknesses, and it said to ask someone close to you. So I turned to my wife, and she was just nodding off, and I kind of said to her, like, what would you say my weaknesses are, Rach? And obviously Rach didn't want to say it. She was a bit, I was like, no, honestly, Rach, like, don't worry. I actually really want you to tell me now. I'm not going to take offense. I'm not going to come back at you. I truly want you to tell me. And she did it, man. And she started to label them. And everyone she said, I was like, you know what? You're right. I resonate with that. I resonate with that. And then the last one she said really stung me. And the last weakness she said was, I asked her to name 5, and the last one was communication. And I was like, it really hit me. And it hit me so hard because me and Ollie have shared a voice note about how much going in deep has built our communication skills. And I feel going in deep with Liam and Ollie has brought on my communication skills so much. And I'm so proud of it. But that's in one area. And then my wife in another area is stating that my communication is really poor and one of my weaknesses. And it just highlights that with my wife, sometimes when I'm in a negative state, I go very quiet. And my wife then thinks I'm annoyed at her or she's done something wrong. But it's nothing to do with that. I'm just gone into my head to assess something, or I'm overthinking, or I'm just a little bit stressed, or whatever it may be. So I go very quiet and I just stay in my own head. And she gets frustrated because I don't communicate with her. I don't say, Rach, I've just got a bit on my mind. I'm a little bit quiet. I just stay quiet. So do you know what I mean? And it just really reiterated, man, that in one area I can think I'm unbelievable at communication, but then in another area, so close to home, I'm actually terrible at communication. Now, the reason I wanted to highlight this, guys, is you can utilize this for the strength exercise we've just asked you to do. So in the strength, hey, Liam, can you pull that slide up again, or was that a mission to do, mate? So Liam Asler, yes, Liam's on. This is why he's a tech wizard, guys. This is why I call him the tech wizard. So for the example I've just given, if you're struggling, guys, I would give it a go yourself. But if you're struggling, ask someone close to you that you truly trust. It could be a good friend, it could be a partner, it could be your mum and dad, it could be your kids, and just say to them, like, what do you think my strengths are? Like, I remember asking my sister actually quite a while ago what she felt my biggest, no, it wasn't achievements. It was, what do you think some of the hardest things that I've done in life in a positive way are? And she started to list them, and it hit me because she remembered things that I'd done as a kid that were really showed a lot of strength. Like, it sounds daft, this, but I took our family dog to get put down, and I was only a young teen, but I was the one that took, and I sat in and watched my dog get put to sleep, like literally sat there and held it as it went dead. And she remembered that because she knew that I took our dog to do that. And it took a lot of strength. She also remembered me standing up at my grandma's funeral and giving a speech. And that's probably one of the scariest things I've ever done. I was fucking shit. I felt that's probably a couple of times I thought I was going to have an heart attack. Some have been bad times doing stupid things. But one was about to go up and give a speech at my grandma's funeral because she meant so much to me. And my heart was coming out of my chest. But I'd forgotten about all these things. But by asking, people remember things about you that are really positive. So if you're struggling, guys, sometimes it does help to ask people, and they might highlight your strengths, your achievements, your triumphs, the real beautiful things about you that you don't see yourself. And I just wanted to leave you with that example from my own life and highlight that if you're struggling with this a little bit, it can help to ask people as well. But yeah, it's.
I would also, like pick up on what Ben said there as well. Is when he approached Rach about that. Firstly, she probably told him one of his strengths isn't to wake me up when I'm asleep. But
you said that's your voice note.
but getting back to it in all seriousness, you asked her to tell you without that fear of you having any repercussions. And I think that's a really important thing, because some people might do this, and I know I've done it in the past where I've heard this exercise before, but I wasn't ready to do it. And I asked for, oh, what do you think my strengths are? And I started disagreeing with the person when they were telling me.
Yeah.
So I think the important thing is, if you are going to do that, because it's a powerful thing to get other people's opinions from you, but it's just going with that open mind, and don't react if it's not what you expected. Just absorb it and just try and see it from their point of view, whether you think it's right or wrong. It's their perspective. So so that's just one thing I'd highlight from what you were saying there, Ben. But absolutely, I think that's a powerful thing. And as we've had in the comments, thank you so much for sharing that, because it was a really good example.
But at the same time, mate, again, it reiterates the comment I made about 5 minutes ago of why I'm so proud to be in this with you, because that's really important to say that, mate. And I didn't say that. And that is very, very, very important to say. So I'm really glad that you've just stated that, because I did ask Rach with that mindset. I whatever she said to me at that point in time, I was going to take on the chin, and I was going to absorb, and I was going to assess. And it took her a lot. It took my wife a lot to tell me my weaknesses. It's not a nice question to ask someone that. But yeah, same with the strength. Yeah, just a really good finish of that, Liam. So thank you, mate. That was beautiful.
That's what I'm here for, man. So just want to kind of say thank you so much. If you have got any questions, you want to sneak some in just before we go, then by all means chuck them in the chat. But I think it's been a powerful one again. If it is that you're considering thinking about what the mindset community is, if you're not already, then you'll find it on the web address that you see at the bottom, so beonemindset.com/mindset. And as Ben said, it's just a beautiful group where we're all going after different things, but we share our wins with each other, little tasks. We're building a toolkit in there that will help out. But equally, on that website address, it will go through what is involved, and equally the core course. Go on.
Sorry, very quick note, as Liam said that, and you won't mind me jumping in at this point, Liam, but guys, what's been really nice to see tonight is you actually communicate with each other through the comments. And I think that highlights the fact that this is non-judgmental and this is positivity. And if you are in life right now struggling with the people that are around you, you're actually in a group now with people that will support you. And that changed my life, being around the right people. So the way that you have been interacting with each other in the comments has made me feel very proud tonight. So I can't thank you guys enough. And that's a lot of the people that have commented are within the BeOne community. So please utilize that platform. Please feel you can speak to each other and communicate in that group, because that's what that is about. I really want to create, me and Liam really want to create an environment where people feel they can share, they can speak, they can support each other, they can bounce off each other to live a more positive and ambitious life in whatever way that may be. And we just can't thank you enough. But yeah, I just needed to jump in then, because the communication, not just with me and Liam tonight, but with between the guys in the comments, has been proud to see.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's me done, man. I'll leave it with Liam now. Thank you guys so much.
No dramas. And we have banged on about the core course a couple of times. So again, if you wanted to check that out and see what that's all about, beonemindset.com/tune-up. And not to forget that free task that Ben has mentioned also is beonemindset.com/perspective. And that's free of charge. That's just for you to go through and to enjoy. And then last but not least is just a reminder of the task that Ben has set us tonight. If you haven't already written it down, don't forget to just take yourself some time to write down how you see yourself and thinking about those different aspects that we had before. Got some beautiful comments about thanks for turning up, and thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. You could have been in front of the telly doing anything or scrolling social media, so really appreciate that, and how active you've been as well. So
big love.
Yeah, from both of us, thank you so much, and we'll catch you
guys,
soon.
Very, very quickly, if no one's logged off yet. Guys, we've hopefully got the first episode of Mindset Tune Up this Thursday. It's with a gentleman called Matt from over in America. who owns a company called Hack Gym, but he's also an entrepreneur and onto a few different things as well. So that's the first ever episode of Mindset Tune-Up, which I'm buzzing about. We've got some amazing guests lined up. So if you are free, again, it'll be on YouTube. And I'm really excited. The guys from the States, so I ain't got a clue how it's going to go. We've never spoken. We've only interacted through Instagram. But if you're about, guys, it'd be amazing if you can jump in, comment, and hopefully you can take a lot from it. The Mindset Tune-Up show is about giving you guys as much information that you can take into life as possible. It's literally about empowering yourselves as much as empowering me, because the guests I'm going to be speaking to will empower me as well. Eileen's just popped up, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Eileen. I really appreciate that. And thank you for popping up and just saying your thanks. Big love, Eileen.
I muted myself there, but but yeah, no, thank you so much. And yeah, just a little tease there with some of the graphics that you'll see when Ben's talking to one of the many experts that we're going to have on that Mindset Tune-Up. So yeah, have a great evening, everyone. And yeah, look forward to catching you again very soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.